Hello viewers, welcome to another class with Masoft, and it's a continuation on our prime numbers series. So in this video we want to briefly look at squares and square roots. Okay, so the fundamental knowledge is that if you are being asked to find the square of 2, so it simply means that what you should do 2 raised to the power of 2, which will give you 2 times 2 equals to 4. So the square of a number is simply the number raised to the power of 2. So likewise, we can say find the square of 12. So finding the square of 12 simply means we should do 12 raised to the power of 2, and that simply means 12 times 12, okay, which will give you 144. So this is actually like something foundational. It's very important. So when you are asked to find the square of a number, it's actually the number raised to the power of 2, and then it simply translates to the number multiplying itself 2 times. The number should multiply itself 2 times. This also means that what 2 should multiply itself 2 times, and that's 2 times 2. This means that what 12 should multiply itself, in 2 places, and that's 144. So that is the fundamental knowledge in when it comes to square. So when we talk about square roots, okay, we have this, okay, symbol which represents a square root. Okay, so that is a square root. Whenever you see this, okay, symbol, it actually means square root, but we can actually call it a roots. Let's just say this is actually what roots. Now depending on what you have outside it, that's what make it the name that we can give to it. What kind of root is this? So let me first show you this, that you know the roots have a symbol like this, and we don't know what x might actually be. So if I have these roots, and the number I have here is 2, okay, let's say the number here is actually y. Let's say yes, it's an unknown. Let's just say y. Let's say we have a y, which happens to be a number that we don't know its value. So because the number here in the place of this x, it is 2 here, what kind of root is this? This naturally we can call it root. So that's the name we'll call this. But this now, because the number that is outside here is actually 2, so it becomes what we call square root. Square root because it is 2 that is what outside here. And because it is 2, in most generic form, we don't write this 2. Okay, so this is what you will see in most cases. This also means square root. Okay, so with an assumption, you should always see that what there is 2 outside here, but it will not be written for you. So you only see it like this. So this is the symbol of what? Roots. Okay. But with the number that may actually be in place of this x here, we can begin to actually mention their name. What kind of root is this? This is a square root. And this is a square root because 2 is not written, but you must see it, as if 2 is actually there. If it is not 2 that is there, definitely every other numbers will be written. We have what we call cube roots. This is called cube roots. Okay, this is called cube roots. Okay, why do we call it cube roots? We call it cube roots because it is 3 that is outside there. Why do we call this one square root? Because it is 2 that is outside there. Okay, and this has their own interpretation. That's what we are going to go into right now. For the level of this class, we are not doing anything that relates with our cube roots, or let me say fourth degree roots of y. It could be 4, it could be 5, it could be 6. Okay, it can go as high as that. But what we are dealing with in this video is actually a root that happens to be a square root. That is, it is 2 that is here. And like I told you earlier, 2 will not be specified outside that particular root. So let me explain this and then we get to work. So we want to see how we can use the knowledge of our prime numbers to find square roots of numbers, most especially what we call perfect square. I'm going to show you that now. Okay, so what is the meaning of square roots? So let's first discuss that. Now let's say I have, square root of 4. This, you can read this as square root of 4. So you pronounce it like this, square root of 4. Okay, so they want us to find the square root of 4. Don't forget that I told you that the number that is outside there is actually 2. Okay, either written or not. If it is not 2, every other number will be specified. If it is 3, it will be written. If it is 4, it will be written. But when you don't see any number there, you know that it's actually square root. Now the meaning of square root is that we should find a number such that if we multiply it 2 times, it will give us 4. What is that number? That if you multiply it 2 times, that's the meaning of the 2 that is outside the root. Find a number that when you multiply it 2 times, is going to give you 4. And what is that number? I know you are saying it right now. So you are already saying it that what? 2 is a number that when you multiply it 2 times, it will give you 4. So because 2 is that number, that when we multiply 2 times, it will give us 4, then we say the square root of 4 is actually 2. I hope that is actually beginning to make sense to you. So let's do more. Okay, of course, we are still going to go to the proper way of actually using your prime numbers and knowledge to break this down. So this square root of 4, okay, in advanced class, that we call indices, okay, we can simply write this 4 as 2 raised to the power of 2. We have learned that in the previous video. It's as if we are just writing 4 as a product of its prime factors. Okay, if you have if you simply have 4, if they give you 4 to write as a product of its prime factors, you say 2 and then you say what? 1, and then you say 4 is equals to 2 times 2, which is what? 2 raised to the power of 2. So writing 4 as a product of its prime factors and leaving it in index form will make us to actually have something like this. Okay, so this is what it means. Now let's put our roots. Okay, let's put our roots. So the proper way to do this is to first take the number, any number you have there, write it as the product of its prime factors. Okay, and leave your answer in index form. So automatically what we mean by square root is that as square means a number raised to the power of 2, so square root simply means a number raised to the power of half. Let me go back to that again. When I was explaining square, I said that a square means that what? Square of a number means that number raised to the power of 2. But square root of a number means that number raised to the power of half. So just know it this way, that when we say the square of 4, square of 4 simply means 4 raised to the power of 2. But square root, okay, of 4 simply means 4 raised to the power of half. So this is very fundamental. So just know this. Square of 4 means 4 raised to the power of 2. Square root of 4 means 4 raised to the power of half. So what I'm doing right now, so let me clean this and then go back. So we can now say that if they give me, okay, let's clean this so that you can get used to writing it without number. So this one means square root of 4. So the square root of 4, we can translate this, to what we have here. Because square root of 4 means 4 raised to the power of half. And then let's look at this, our 4. We can write this our 4 in index form as 2 raised to the power of 2. Then because of this half that we have here, so half is there. So you can now see that it will be 2 raised to the power of 2. This bracket means times, so that's 2 times half that we have in the power. put this over 1. So when you do 2 times half, you can cut this and say 2 times half will give you 1. That's 2 raised to the power of 1, and that is 2. So you can see the proving now that from here, square root of 4, we actually get what? 2 as the square root of 4. So this is actually the workings that follow, the use of the knowledge of our prime numbers, writing numbers as product of their prime factors, and leaving those prime factors in index form. So you can use that to work your way through to get the square root of a number. And like the normal interpretation I gave you also earlier, that the square root of a number means a single number that you can multiply 2 times to get such a number. So 2 is a single number that we can multiply 2 times to get 4. And that is why 2 is the square root of 4. So let's now look at the proper way we can actually do this. Let's say they ask us to find the square root of 4. So basically, what we will do is that we say, okay, we have 4. So first work our way through, and then we have 1. So you can say 4. What we want to find is actually square root of 4. Okay, that's the question. We can now write as square root, okay, the number that we have gotten here is 2 times 2, and then we can write it as what? Square root of what? 2 raised to the power of 2. Of course, we can see now that a square is the opposite of square root, and square root is the opposite of square. So this root here, we practically remove these two, because it's just more or less like we are doing 2 raised to the power of 2 now raised to the power of half, changing this square root to a power of half, and that will be 2 raised to the power of 1, that will be 2. Or you can just simply write here that what your answer is 2, because you know that this square root will remove that 2 that is on top of the 2 inside, which is written in index form. So this will be the square root of 4. Let's do some bigger numbers now. Find the square root of the following numbers. So let's say we have 81. Okay, let's say we have 64. Let's say we have 144. Okay, number 4. Let's say we have okay, let's say we have 100. Okay, so let's quickly do this. We have 81. I want to find the square root. I know that 3 can go 27, 3, 9, 3, 3, 3, 1. So I can simply write that the square root of 81 equals to square root of 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So whatever you have here, group it in 2, group it in 2, and then that simply means you have square root of 3 square times 3 square. Okay, so that this root will remove the square on top of them, and then we are going to have 3. We are going to have 3. That will be 3 times 3. So your answer will be what? 9. 9 is that single number that when you multiply it 2 times, it will give you 81. So that is how to go about that. I hope you understand this. So square root of 64. So I can begin with 2, that will be 32. Continue with 2, 16, 2, 8, 2, 4, 2, and then 1. So when you look at this, I have my root 64 equals to square root of how many 2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's write as 2 times 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So group them in 2. Okay, group them in 2. It must be the same number. Okay, so we group them in 2. That means that we have root 2 square times 2 square times 2 square. So the square on them will be removed by this root that we have here, and then the number that will remain will be 2, 2, 2, and then that will be 2 times 2 times 2. So the square root will be 8. So the square root of 64 is actually what? 8. So we can also say what's the square root of the next number, that's 144. Root 144 is what we want to find out right now. So I can see there is an even number. I would continue. I will start with 2. That will be 72. Then I will use 2 again. That will give me 3, 6. I can use 2 again. That will give me 18. I can use 2 again. That will give me 9. Now I cannot use 2 anymore, so I can only use 3. That will give me 3, and then I have 3, 1. So this, let's group it. That will be square root of 144 equals to all roots. How many 2? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times how many 3? 1, 2 times 3 times 3. 3 goes with 3, 2 and 2 here, and 2 and 2 here, such that I can write root 2 square times 2 square times 3 square. So the square root will be 2, because this square root will remove the square. So times 2 times 2, 3. Okay, because this is 3. So you can see this is 2, 2. So that will be 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2 will give us 4. 4 times 3 will give us 12. So 12 is the square root of 144. And lastly, I have a square root of 100. So that's number 4. Square root of 100. So I have 100. I have 2. That will give me 52. That will give me 25. So give me 5, 5, and 5 here will give me 1. Okay. Uh, let's shorten that. So that will be root 100 now equals to all roots 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. So it must be in 2. It must be in 2 like that. And that will be, okay, root 2 raised to the power of 2 times 5 square. So the root here will remove the square, and then I will be having 2 times 5. That will be 2 times 5, and that is 10. So 10 is the square root of 100. So this is how you can use the application of what we have learned so far to find the square root of a number. So you can lay your hands on some other perfect squares that we may have like this and try to see if you can solve them. Or better still, let me leave you with some questions that you may actually work on to help yourself. So you may do the following. Okay, try the following. Of course, I will give you something very simple that you may practice with. So you have 400. Okay, lay your hands on the square root of 400. You also have 225. So you can try these two. Find their square roots. Find the square roots. So find the square roots of this number, and let me have your answer in the comment section below. Please follow us on our social media handle at Matimasoft. Bye for now.